Hello everybody, a warm welcome to Wisdom from North, the place where we're diving into the deeper meaning of life and asking the big questions. My name is Jannike and today I'm here with Kristine Lindholt Vittusen, who is a Norwegian coach and who is very passionate about the Enneagram. And that's what we will be speaking about today, because the Enneagram is a very powerful tool to get to know yourself better and to have personal and spiritual growth. So welcome.
Thank you.
I'm excited about the Enneagram because it's something I haven't covered at all before, and you invited me to one of your workshops and you told me a little bit about it, and I was like, okay, so this is about dividing people or humanity into 9 different categories. And I was thinking, but I don't want to be in one category, you know? And then I realized that it goes much deeper than that. So let's just start by explaining or describing, if you can, what the Enneagram, which is very hard to say, is.
It's a personality tool, it's a typology, and it does divide into 9 different categories of people, but it's more of a way of showing these 9 personalities are all inside of us. We have one dominating type, but we have all of it in us. And the point of the Enneagram is not to become a different person or to become perfect in any way. It's more about becoming whole and becoming balanced and having access to a bigger aspect of yourself.
So where does this stem from? I mean, this knowledge about these different types. Like history-wise, how far back do we go?
Really far. And it's actually a lot of debate about the history of it, because it took such a long time for any of it to be written down. So people have a lot of different opinions about it and a lot of different things written about it. But what we do know is that this stems from very, very old wisdom. And talking about the history, we can distinguish between the symbol itself and the theory of the types. And the symbol is the oldest. It goes back thousands of years to antiquity. And then the theory of the psychology of the types, hundreds of years back. But the person who took the symbol and introduced it to the modern world was an Armenian guy called Gurdjieff. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but he introduced the symbol to the modern world in the 60s. And after that, in the early 1900s, but in the 60s, a man by the name Ichazo was the one who actually assigned the personality types to the specific points on the model. That was not until the 60s.
Okay.
And then it was developed further by a man called Naranjo, who started integrating modern psychological ideas into the Enneagram. And in the 70s, he was teaching this at Berkeley in California.
Right, because they have courses at Harvard now and Stanford as well, I read, in the Enneagram.
Yeah. But in the very beginning, not much was written down. It was an oral tradition, and they were teaching it through something called a narrative tradition. They were having panels where people from the different types, and people still do. It's a very great way of learning the Enneagram by doing panels.
We got we got a visitor.
But it wasn't until the early 80s that the first books were published about the Enneagram, is what I've heard. And some of the first authors include Don Riso, Russ Hudson, Helen Palmer. And
has made it more widely known.
Yeah. By publishing these great books. I've been very much inspired by these people.
So how can it help us to know what kind of type we are? I mean, there are 9 different types, right?
And it may sound limiting, but there's a lot of different triads and a lot of different mechanisms that it may seem simple at first, but the more you dive into it, the more complex you see that it is. But why learn the Enneagram? I believe it's definitely not because it's putting you into a box. It's more showing you what type of box you've placed yourself into, and then showing you the way
Right.
out if you want. So it's a way of reaching more self-acceptance, and also a deeper understanding and a deeper acceptance for others, higher emotional intelligence. And to me, the Enneagram, it just hit me really hard. Like, wow, I understood right away what was my type, and it was so meaningful to me, and it gave me a lot of self-acceptance, but it was also sort of tough to see the patterns that I've been leading my life by, but the Enneagram gives you an opportunity to observe yourself from the outside and see what kind of patterns you're living by, and if you're ever going to change positively, you have to see it first. You have to observe yourself, and then you're able to change whatever doesn't support you. And then there was a lot of it that I found a deeper acceptance for as well.
It makes sense. I haven't found out which type I am completely yet. I'm like between 3 and 4, I think, and we'll learn more about the types today. But how can we find the type? Is it? I mean, you're saying that you just knew right away, but I'm still unsure. Like, is that a bad thing? Not
No, not at
completely
all.
getting your type?
Not at all. And it may take years. It may be a long process for some people, and you may think for a while that you're a type, and then you realize you're not, because all we can see is, and it's also impossible to type others. You can get a feel for what type it is, but you can't be for sure, because all we see is the behavior, but we don't know the inner motivations. We don't know the motivation driving that behavior. And that's what's so interesting about the Enneagram is that it dives into the reason why we act the way we act,
Right.
not just a way of describing the behavior.
And it describes your deepest fear, or like a clue to know what type you are is to look at the deepest fear and the deepest desire. Isn't it something like that?
Yeah, that's definitely a very good way of discovering your type. There are tests that you can take, but I think you should always be very careful with tests, and
Okay.
don't take it as a definite answer, but use it more as a way of reflecting. Is this meaningful to me? Do I recognize myself in this?
So using your intuition.
Intuition, definitely.
Important.
Yeah, but then again, if you read about a type and you feel, oh, this definitely sounds like me, but then you get to some things and you're like, oh no, that's not me at all, definitely not me. Then I think you should reflect on it a little further.
Okay.
Maybe there's something there that you need to look at.
Right. Because there might be shadow sides.
There definitely might be shadow sides.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's show our viewers the symbol.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
And one way of starting out to find your type could be one very common triad that you can divide into is the 8, 9, and 1 as the.
Maybe
sorry.
we should put it like that.
Yeah. So the 8, 9, and 1 is the gut or body triad. We don't really have time to go into all the triads here, but that's one way of finding your type, is to start, what triad is do I recognize myself the most in?
Because the 9 numbers are divided into 3 and 3 and 3.
Yeah, so
Okay.
2, 3, and 4, that's the heart
Okay.
feeling types. And the 5, 6, and 7 is the head mental type. So that's one way of starting your discovery, to find out which of these 3 triads do I feel.
If I'm more like body-centered or emotional-centered or heart-centered or mind-centered.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
that's
can
just
start
one way,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
And also looking at the deepest fear and the deepest desire. Since we don't have much time, I can't really get into that. But it's no coincidence how these lines are laid out.
Like connected to each other here? Yeah.
The types have specific easy access to certain other types. And also we can talk about wings. So for example, I'm a 2, so I could have a 1 wing or I could have a 3 wing or I could have both. Which means I can take on some of the aspects of that type.
So you are influenced by
yeah.
1 and 3 as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes one wing is stronger than the other, and sometimes they're equal.
Okay. Okay, so should we just dive into each type? And we have some pictures.
Oh
yeah,
show this
we should do that first.
Because what's kind of important about the Enneagram is that it's more of a 3-dimensional model, because here you see the symbol, but there's also something called the levels of development. So, most of us are usually around here, the average functioning type level. And then when you're under pressure, when you're really not feeling too good, when things are difficult, you may start to move down the lower levels and becoming a bit more dysfunctional. And when you're at the very low levels, then you're really, really not functioning. Then you're very dysfunctional. And on the very, very top, you have these truly, truly inspiring people, you know, Gandhi, that type of personalities.
So that means that you can, if Gandhi, I don't know what type he was, but if he was a 9, he could be a 9, and then you can see another person who is really not doing good things in the world as a 9 as well.
And they would be completely different,
right?
You know, so a 9 up here and a 9 down here, you can hardly recognize that they're the same type.
Right.
But it's almost as if you have a little pin, like a gravity point. So maybe your gravity point is here, and then
in the middle.
Yeah, maybe here on the upper middle, and then on a good day you might go up here, and on a bad day you might go down here. So the point of self-development would be to not just do that, but to actually move the pin 1 step up, so that you have a higher gravity point. So on your good days you'll be all the way up here, and on a bad day you'll just be here.
Okay. Okay.
So that's just very briefly, and in explaining the types too, in order to give just a brief idea, this is a bit stereotypical the way I'm going to explain it now, just so you get a little overview and a little taste for each type, but this is not the way to find your type. You can maybe get some ideas, but you have to go deeper into it.
But it's a good starting point.
It's just a good starting point.
And I like that it's visual, because I like pictures, then I understand much more easy what this is about.
We're so lucky to have my coworker Silja Haugen and I had Elizabeth Thalén, great artist. She did these drawings for us, and they're really drawn with a lot of love
and humor.
And humor and humor.
So this is number
1.
Number 1.
In English, you can call her the reformer sometimes. We've called her Proper Patricia. She's very proper.
She's very proper.
Yeah. She's very structured, organized, high morals, integrity, can be very efficient, doing the right thing, and trying to be a good person.
And she's body-centered.
Yeah. And she, the deepest fear is not to be perfect, not to be complete and perfect.
Not to be good enough?
Yeah. And the deepest fear she has, the deepest desire she has is just to be in integrity, to be a good person. And sometimes the issue for this person is that they have a strong inner critic. And sometimes this wanting to just be perfect and make the world a better place, a more perfect place for all of us, when she moves down the levels, this can be distorted into like critical perfectionism.
Okay.
So for me, the what I've learned to understand about this type is that sometimes if this type comes off as a little know-it-all or making me feel smaller, I know that they're just so hard on themselves. And they're just trying so hard to be good, to be perfect, and it hurts them to know that that they may come across as a little cynical or hard or harsh.
It would be great to know what other people's types are, because then you would understand them much better, you know? If I knew that you were a 1 and you were talking condescendingly to me, I would like understand, because oh, she's a 1. But that's something we shouldn't do, right? Categorize others.
No, but I mean, when you know the Enneagram, you can sense a 1 energy or an 8 energy, but you have to be really careful typing other people.
Right.
You do.
Anything more about this nice
No,
woman?
not really.
Let's move on to 2, and that's you, isn't it?
That's me.
So you know a lot about number 2.
So number 2 is called the caregiver or the helper type. I mean, the best thing to do is use the numbers and not the labels, because they seem a little limiting. But we've called this character Flattering Fiona. She likes to lighten people's day with good comments, compliments, and she's very generous and caring and giving. Always a little thing of chocolate on her desk so that people can come and she can feel the closeness of others. So her deepest fear is not to be the only one that's not loved, and to be alone in that. And
she's the helper, right?
Yeah.
She loves to help everybody all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all she wants is to feel loved and be close to other people. But if you have a type 2 in your office, she might come and clean your desk one day and say, "Oh, I saw you were so busy. I just cleaned your desk for you. Hope it's okay." And maybe it's not what you needed. You know, sometimes they can go a little too much into that helper role, and it becomes annoying, and they just don't get it. Well, I'm just being friendly. I'm just being nice here.
Right.
But they have a way of projecting a little bit. I know I do that all the time. I can ask everybody in a room, are you guys cold? Or do you want a blanket? Do you want a jacket? And everyone's like, no, we're fine. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm cold. I should put a jacket on.
It's about me.
Yeah. So that need or that desire to just be loved and make the world a loving place can be distorted into the need to be necessary to others, and the need to be loved, the need to be close to others.
I remember at the course you had some songs for each type.
Yeah.
What was the song for this type? Do you remember?
You got a friend in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there
Like a bridge over troubled water we've had also.
Right. So do you have any celebrities that you would think perhaps might be a 2 type without being sure? Just a wild
Florence
guess.
Nightingale,
Right, okay.
celebrity, and also I was thinking maybe if you know the character Charlotte in Sex and the City,
Yeah.
she might be a helper type,
Right.
because she's very concerned that people need a partner, otherwise, they're going to be lonely, and that's so bad.
Right.
Of course, a lot of people are happy being single, but
She seems like a beautiful person though, but again, on the lower levels, she
you
can
also have
possibly-
Kathy Bates in Misery.
Okay.
The need to be needed.
Right.
Yeah, which is not at all good.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to the more artistic person here, or emotional, perhaps.
Yeah, this is number 3. The achiever. What do we call her? Yeah, we called her Glorious Gloria. She really likes to achieve. She can be very inspiring, efficient, good at reaching her goals and inspiring others to do so. And her deepest fear is to not be worth anything beyond her accomplishments. She just really wants to be accepted and wanted and valued for who she is. But that desire to make the world, or that desire to just be valued, can be distorted when she moves down the level to.
She has to produce something all the time.
Yeah, that it becomes just like a constant hunt for success at all arenas in life, and it just gets exhausting.
And I remember
she can forget her emotions.
Right.
Lose touch with her emotions.
Right, because this really touched me, and I was like,
Yeah.
am I a 3? And then she felt like she had to do something all the time to feel valuable, and she was competing with others. That made an impression, like if there was someone else in the room who had kind of the same, I don't know, potential, she would immediately think that she needed to be the best one in the room.
Yeah.
Always competing.
Always competing. So some examples. Lance Armstrong.
Okay.
We've seen some different sides of him.
Right.
Some people say Oprah Winfrey. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure of any of the types.
Right. Yeah, because I seem to remember that 3 and 4. I mean, 4 is more artistic, but 3 has still can be also in touch with art and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the 3 sometimes have issues with their emotions, not losing touch with their emotions, whereas type 4 is more emotional.
Okay. Okay. But she's still heart-centered.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But she's a center type of the feeling triad, which means she's the most the person who's not in touch with her feelings.
Right.
Because
So
all the heart types have issues with feelings in one form or the other, and her issue is that she needs to
get in touch
with
with her heart.
more.
Yeah. So do we have a song for her?
Oh yeah, Alanis Morissette has a song that I would be good.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful song, you know, that I would be good even if I
That's a
gained
beautiful
some
song.
pounds, and if I lost my hair, and if I got sick, and I wasn't able to produce anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's.
So she's probably a 3.
You know, I've heard both 3 and 4. I'm
Right.
not sure, but I'm not sure. But it's interesting to find out because she actually knows the Enneagram.
Ah.
So,
Yeah.
of course, we want to hear about the celebrities who've actually said the type that they are.
Yes. Sure.
Because we can't know.
We can guess. Okay, let's move on to number 4.
Number 4, emotional Emma, we've called her. Sometimes called the individualist or the artist. She doesn't have to be artistic or creative, but she can be. Melancholic sometimes.
Yeah, she seems a bit melancholic.
Yeah. And out of all the types, this is a type who is mostly able to embrace all the feelings, both positives and negatives. And often authentic people, inspiring in that way, and what they deeply desire is to find themselves, find their identity, and out of their inner experiences, base their identity on their inner experiences. And what they fear is that they don't have any uniqueness, that they don't have any...
Right. These are the types who wants to be special.
Yeah.
Unique.
Yeah, and express themselves
Apart-
authentically.
Yeah.
So what can happen when they this desire to be so or this desire to express themselves authentically and in a real way can be distorted down the levels of development to that desperate need to be unique and special.
Okay. Little too much.
Yeah, a little too much could be.
Right.
Some examples: Prince,
Okay.
Michael Jackson is said to be a 4.
Right. And what about the song?
Everybody Hurts, you know, sort of from REM, the message that, you know, everybody hurts, is that it's not something, because they can have a tendency to think that there's something wrong with me because I have all these emotions, but you know, everybody hurts sometimes, and it's part of life.
Oh, she's a little bit sad.
And we've had people attending our workshops who've said, "Oh, I think you typically some of the more lighthearted types could say, I think you portrayed type 4 so negatively. And then we have several 4s in the room saying, negatively? No, not at all. We totally recognize this.
Right, that's me.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, wonderful. So let's move on to number, 5. And here we have a guy.
We have a guy.
Yeah.
All the first ones were women.
It's not all about women.
No,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, we've called him worrying. No. This is Nerdy Norman.
Nerdy Norman.
And it's not that you have to be nerdy when you're 5, but type 5, also called the investigator, they really like to deep dive into things and really find out why are things the way they are, and not just accept any answer. They want to find out for themselves. And they can be pioneers within their areas of knowledge.
Scientists, maybe.
Often, yeah.
Right.
Could be, because they're so concerned with learning and knowledge, and what they're trying to do is just become competent as they can. That's how they feel secure. So their deepest fear is to not be useful, not be competent, and they just want to have the necessary competence to feel secure in the world. They can sometimes feel like, oh, people are so hard to understand. I mean, I wish there was a map or a book that could teach me how to deal with people, because they're so unpredictable. Because they really like to understand. And
So these, now we moved on to the mind types,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, okay.
yes, these are the head or mind types.
Okay. So do we have a typical person or a celebrity that could be?
Stephen Hawking.
Oh, right.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that many of the characters in that TV show, what is it called?
Do you know it in Norwegian?
No. What's it called?
Is it on
I haven't
Netflix?
seen it, but A Big Bang Theory.
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's some of those characters, or most of them,
Okay.
could be. Maybe Björk, the artist, and she also has a song that we like to play, Human Behavior.
Okay.
Well, at least now there is a compass to understand human behavior. You have the Enneagram.
Right.
Because that's what she's singing about, that human behavior is so unpredictable, you can't really understand them.
Okay. So let's move on to number 6.
We've called him Worrying William. It's loyalist, type 6. Analytical people often, loyal people, good at maintaining the
Order?
fellesskap.
Community or?
Community, yeah, a good sense of community and including people. Can sometimes challenge authorities. Very into feeling secure and safe. And yeah, their deepest fear is not to have what it takes to manage on their own.
Okay.
As their deepest fear.
Survival more? Yeah.
Just feeling safe in this dangerous world.
Okay. What's their biggest desire?
To just feel safe and secure.
Right.
And
Yes, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
But that need or that desire to make the world a better place, a safer place for all of us, can be distorted into sort of being too dependent on others, other people's meanings, other people's support. That they become so dependent that they don't trust in themselves.
Okay, so insecurity can be one of the lower energies or influences.
Yeah.
Okay. Any song for this person type?
I can't think of anything right now.
No.
Can't think of any examples either.
Then we move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 8. This is 7. No.
And the 7.
7. Yeah,
This
7.
is number 7.
Right.
The adventurer, it's called in English.
It looks like a clown.
Funny Frank, we've called him. Yeah, and they don't always have to be funny, but they're often lighthearted, and they want life to be enjoyed. They want to be happy. You can sometimes sense that they change topics if we talk about things that are too negative or sad. You know, let's talk about something funny
Okay.
or something fun. They just like to focus on the positive most of the time, and can be very good planners and great to brainstorm with a 7 because they're so opportunity oriented.
Okay. Open-minded.
Open-minded often, yeah. So that's on the high side, definitely.
So what's their deepest fear?
Is to be trapped in pain and sorrow.
Oh, okay.
Not to be happy. Because their deepest desire is just to be happy and to be happy with what is.
I'm just thinking about the 4 because that's a really contrast to the 4 who is really in touch with that melancholy and almost like worship, you know, the dark feelings to be artistic or yeah.
So you can see how they can sort of trigger one another,
Yeah.
you know, because the
Sure.
4 might think a 7 is superficial
Yeah.
or too happy-go-lucky, and
Right.
the 7 may think that the 4, you're so negative, or
Yeah.
you know, focus on the positives. So that deep desire to make the world a better or happier place for all of us can be distorted when he moves down the levels to like escapism and, you know,
Okay.
very hectic. Well, it can be too much shopping, too much eating, too much something, overspending,
Okay.
as a way of fleeing from pain.
Okay. Right. Okay. So do we have a person, a celebrity, perhaps, for this?
Yeah, we think maybe Robin or also Robbie Williams. Robbie
Oh,
Williams.
Okay.
There's this
So-
incredibly funny clip that he published when his wife was in labor, and he was doing his dance and singing, and she was really in a lot of
In
pain.
pain.
And he just it seemed like he couldn't be with that. So his
Right.
best way of being present with that was to
Ah,
entertain, you know.
what a fantastic man.
So, but some people would be very annoyed by that, you know.
So-
Just be in the pain with me. And
Yeah.
don't, you know.
I mean, so the challenge for this guy is perhaps, or a woman, or type, is perhaps to accept those emotions then.
That's part of life as well. You know, you can't always be happy.
Right.
And presence, being here and now, not always on to the next fun thing, but and gratefulness for what's here and now.
Right. All right, so let's move on to the body types again.
Yeah.
Number 8. Wow, this is a powerful guy,
Yeah,
very determined.
yeah. What can we call him? Bossy Bob.
Bossy Bob.
Sort of looks like a king, and you see he has his shield here because he's very protective of his heart. You know, like don't get too close to me. And they can be very visionary, wonderful leaders, very powerful people, and you know, they good at attaining what they the goals that they have. And what they desire is to find their path and not be controlled by others.
Okay.
And they're very afraid that somebody's gonna break their heart, and that's why they put up this shield.
Okay.
Again, another type that can be a little out of touch with their emotions and their vulnerability.
And perhaps dominating
Can be on the low
on
side,
the lower
yeah,
levels.
Yeah,
Mm.
but very inspiring when they on the high side. They very great sense of fairness and can really stand up for the weak, people who need it.
A type that dares to speak up, and
Yeah.
perhaps many prime
Brave,
ministers and
yeah.
leaders and
Yeah, both good and bad ones.
Right.
Yeah. so that desire to protect themselves and others can be distorted into, you know, a constant fight with the world and just not being able to show weakness or vulnerability.
Right.
So an inspiring 8 could be Martin Luther King. You know, the power of his voice and his presence. Also Godfather, from the Godfather movies. And what else?
What about
Frank
a song?
Sinatra? And we,
Okay.
yeah, and My Way.
Yeah.
I Did It My Way.
Okay.
That's a very 8 song. And
Lovely.
we always play that in our workshops, and we've had several 8s being very, very moved by that song.
Okay. Wow. Awesome. Okay, so the last one here is number 9.
Number 9, the Peacemaker, or we've called her Peaceful Pamela. Very concerned with having balance and harmony, and yeah, often very caring, warm people, making sure everybody's included, and also can be very good mediators. If there are arguments, they're able to see both sides of the story.
A diplomat.
Diplomatic, yeah.
And her deepest fear, what is that?
Her deepest fear is to become detached from everything and everyone. And her deepest desire is just to find peace of mind, harmony. And so that desire to make the world a more peaceful, harmonious place can be distorted into sort of a laziness, in the sense that they can forget to take action on the things that really matter for them.
Okay.
You know, hard to speak up because there may be conflict.
Okay, afraid of conflict, perhaps.
Often, yeah, because they just want peace, you know.
Right.
Sometimes they don't realize that can be a source of conflict. If you don't speak up, that can frustrate people as well.
So that's the challenge, one of the challenges.
That can be one of the challenges, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So could this be a Mother Teresa, for example? Or is that the one or two?
I'm not sure. I think maybe not.
Okay.
I don't think she's been typed as that. Type 9, let me think. Dalai Lama.
Oh, okay.
Clint Eastwood is said to be a 9. What else? What's another?
But that's good examples. Yeah.
It's hard to think of these examples, and we really don't have any idea.
But it's good to have like just an example that might, you know, be correct or not, because then you can picture the type better in a way.
Yeah.
Understand the type better.
And that's why we like these drawings too.
Yeah.
You know, she sort of pushes all the bad things away and just wants to be in her little peaceful place.
So that was all the types. So tell us, how has this helped you in your life when you discovered this? What has changed? Has something changed? I mean, because you are very passionate about it.
I'm very passionate about it. It's helped me very much in accepting myself, trusting in myself more, and most of all in my personal relationships. That I used to be much more triggered by people, you know, especially people who were very powerful. They could scare me.
Like an 8, for example?
Yeah. And I'm married to an 8 today.
Ah, okay.
A healthy 8.
Okay.
But I used to, typically 8s, yeah. I would fear them when they were too powerful, because that would make me weaker and smaller. But as I started to understand the mechanisms, I also started to think about, although I wouldn't know for sure if people I met were an 8, but I could sense the energy, and I could feel that compassion, even though they were not being constructive at all. I could feel this compassion for them. Because I believe that everything we do, in a sense, is either an expression of love or seeking for love. And it's not always so easy to interpret that when people are being even mean or annoying. But that's maybe when they need love the most.
And I just discovered when I was at your course that I think I thought that I was a 4 at first, but then I landed more on 3. And it was really good too. I mean, then we really delved into it and you explained it really thoroughly. And it really made me fall in love with myself even more, because I saw those sides and aspects of myself that the 3 has. As you know, when you hear it on the outside, it's kind of more easy to accept, and then you're like, okay, yeah, that's me, and it's not that bad, and I understand why I'm like that, and I just want to be loved or feel worthy, and I'm just doing my best. And so I think it's a way, a tool that you can use for more self-love, which is basically, I think, some of the most important things we're doing is to fall in love more with ourselves.
Yeah. And it's not that we're gonna let go of our personalities. It's more that we become aware, and once you understand the Enneagram and you understand your personality more, then you can get more back into your true self, your essence, and what really truly matters to you. And then your personality can become a little more flexible, and you can have access to more of the other types. So I can sometimes see that, oh, today I really need my 7, you know, and I can really try to be in that lighthearted energy, or definitely my 8 sometimes, you know, where I can be more assertive and powerful, because I know I have it in me. We all have all the types in us.
Right, that's important. We all have them in us.
Okay. But also what's important to say is that the healthier you are in your type, the higher up the levels, the more access you have to all of the types.
Oh, okay.
So the lower level, then the more rigid you become, the more you become limited by your type.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I was much more 2ish before than I am now.
Okay. Wonderful.
I think I'm still generous and helping and all that, but I'm more aware of my intention behind, you know.
Yeah.
Do I give to get, or do I give just because I want to give, you know?
Right.
And I've become more aware, because a 2 can have a tendency to just give and give and give and give. Oh no, I don't expect anything back. Oh no. But then
you do.
Then you do, and you become bitter, and that's one of the hardest things for a 2 to hear, is that 2s have a lot of pride. I was like, pride? Me? Oh no. But I do. I mean, gosh, I want to do well in this interview. I have pride. I want to be good. I want to be loved.
Yeah. Wonderful.
But it's so fascinating. It's so fun, and I hope people realize that the Enneagram is not something dark and boring and heavy. It's just so fascinating, and once you learn it, you can't stop yourself from seeing it everywhere, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on this workshop.
You get this Enneagram humor.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and bigger everywhere. It's now coming more to Norway as well, but you studied in Denmark, where it's bigger than in Norway.
Yeah.
I don't know about Sweden, but it seems like it's a tool that more and more people are becoming aware of and are using. And
it's actually pretty easy to learn. I mean, we teach it, Silje and I, in a 2-day workshop, and people learn a lot. So it's easy to learn, but it's difficult to master. I mean, you could study this for years. I still have lots to learn within the Enneagram.
Right.
But I still have a lot to offer at this point. But I love that it's something that you can just keep on studying.
You can just dig.
Yeah,
right.
you can.
We love that.
Yeah.
Digging into the mysteries, don't we?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was really inspiring, and good luck with all your work with the Enneagram.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for watching, guys. Much light from Oslo. Bye bye.